Are we on? Hi, welcome back to Genesis Custom Sabers, live in the shop, volume 12, I think. I forgot to count before we went live to the video. Spoiler alert. The Fett lives! Boba Fett. Now, I like to say I called it. I've been using the Fett lives hashtag since the Mandalorian started. I thought they'd be stupid not to bring Boba Fett in somehow. And the fact that they've now undone George Lucas's statement that Boba Fett died in the Sarlacc, he showed up in the Mandalorian season 2. I'm going to talk all about it. As always, please feel free to comment and question in your little chat box there, and I'll do my best to read questions as they come up on the screen and address them with respect and dignity. I'll do my best. Can't promise anything. If you've done this live in the shop thing with me before, you know that often it's just me ranting about stuff that I think is cool, and today is no exception. Got a little bit better lighting in here, been playing around with that, a little bit better sound, hopefully. What do you think? Well, oh, hello, Wooly. What do you think we'll also see some Rex? Yes, I do. Of course, there's just so much to talk about with The Mandalorian, and we'll just, you know what, I'm probably just going to blow the whole time on talking Mandalorian stuff because I'm very excited. So to answer your question, yeah, I do think we'll see Rex. Now here's what, going into this, hey, I'm trying to read people's names. Are you glad they brought back the same actor that plays the Clone Troopers Boba Fett? Yeah, Temuera Morrison is supposed to be playing Boba Fett in season 2, and Commander Rex in season 2. Greetings from down under, David, I see you. Commander Rex, Boba Fett. There's been a lot of announcements leading up to this that some fans like me have been trying to make sense of. So I expected that Timothy Olyphant was going to be playing Cobb Vanth, wearing Boba Fett's armor, which he found, like he said. I hoped that the real Boba Fett was also going to show up. I didn't expect him in the same episode. And so I don't know where that's going to go. We can talk about it. I have some suspicions, some questions, some hopes about where they're going to go with this. I don't think the next episode's going to jump off right with more Boba Fett. I think they're going to leave that and address that later and let the fans dangle a little bit. You know, I would probably from a dramatic point of view if I were in charge, and I'm not. But yeah, I mean, it's now confirmed. You know, well, okay. So you see a guy at the end of the show looking out over the Tatooine sunset as the Mandalorian Din Djarin scoots away, and then he turns around and it is clearly Temuera Morrison, acid burned face. Now, when we last saw Boba Fett, he was falling into the Sarlacc. We know that his armor made it out, and now we know that Boba Fett made it out too. They've not said that that's Boba Fett, but it's pretty obvious to the fans that the Fett lives. Now, I'm not even a huge Boba Fett fan, but I think it's cool because the fans made Boba Fett a big deal. Boba Fett was done, over with, a footnote in Star Wars to George Lucas, a minor villain. And then the fans just created the expanded universe. Boba Fett wove his way into that. He survived the Sarlacc. There was stories and rumors and legends, and the fans made Boba Fett a big deal. Wooly asked, do you think they are retconning Boba Fett's armor? I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that. In the Aftermath novels, which are the only new Disney era novels that I've read, as you know, I'm a big fan of the expanded universe, the older novels. But in Aftermath, on Tatooine, a sheriff, self-imposed sheriff marshal named Cobb Vanth finds Boba Fett's armor in a Jawa's collection, acquires it and then uses it in his duties as a sheriff, as a marshal. Brescar Steele. Yeah, keep your questions short because I don't have time to read them before they're gone. Thank you for sending in questions, and I'll do my best. Now, so the armor, we know that Cobb Vanth, the sheriff, found what appears to be Boba Fett's armor. Now we have visually seen it, and it looks exactly like Boba Fett's armor. Same markings, much more worn and beat up. Functions the same way, and I don't know if you picked it up. Even malfunctions the same way. Din Djarin hits the butt of his blaster, or his pulse rifle, into the jetpack and fires Cobb Vanth into the air in the same way that Han Solo accidentally bumped Boba Fett's jetpack and sent him flying into the side of the sail barge, which led him to fall into the Sarlacc. I don't know if you picked that up, but I'm very proud of myself for picking that up. There's lots of really cool little nuggets like that in episode, I guess they're calling it episode 9, season 2. Yeah, tons of really cool stuff that, even, okay, sidetrack. Well, no, you know what? We'll get onto the Krayt Dragon later because that's going to be a whole other thing. Are you going to build a Darksaber? No. Man, that's a whole other thing too. I've got all these things I want to talk about. Remind me later. I have an idea for the Darksaber. As some of you know, I'm not a fan of the concept of a Darksaber, but they've made it a really cool part of the lore and the story of Star Wars and, of course, The Mandalorian. So we'll get to that later. But we got to focus, people. Focus on the Fett in The Mandalorian. Questions. I have some questions. And I wrote them down because I didn't trust myself to remember. Boba Fett, how long did he spend in the Sarlacc? Does he still harbor Jedi hatred for killing his father, for sending him into the Sarlacc? Jedi was partially responsible for that. And now, of course, if he learns of Baby Yoda, the child with Force powers, is he gonna come in on the side of the bad guys? Is he gonna be a bad guy or a good guy? I think it would be pretty obvious and pretty natural for him to be a bad guy, for him to, if he shows up more in the show. I sure hope they don't just leave it at that. He's a hermit in the desert now. Let's let him fade into history. I hope they actually use him in the story. I think he's going to be a bad guy. I think he's going to be connected with Fennec Shand. I don't think she's dead. I want to get a NeoPixel lightsaber, but I don't have a lot of funds. I'm sorry to hear that. Off topic, but you are welcome to ask any questions like that. NeoPixels sabers are a little more expensive, and they're worth saving up for. That's all I can tell you. Yeah, so those are my questions regarding Boba Fett. Also, Slave One. Whatever happened to Slave One? Are we going to see Slave One, some derelict ship stuck on Tatooine since the demise of Jabba the Hutt and Boba Fett's, however long he was in that Sarlacc? Was it the Sarlacc that was eaten by the Krayt Dragon? I mean, there's so many questions I have, which is good. When a show sparks interest and inspires questions, they've got us. Boba's armor isn't made of Beskar in the original canon. It's Durasteel. Thanks, Wooly. I don't know what that's based on. I'm not arguing with you. I don't really know whether it's Beskar or not. I think in the expanded universe, they made Mandalorian armor out of lots of different things. And then towards the end, they discovered Beskar and started remaking it with Beskar. In the new canon, it seems that Mandalorian armor is passed down for generations and reforged. So they've kind of continued that lore into the Mandalorian. Of course, George Lucas always said that Boba Fett wasn't a Mandalorian because Jango Fett wasn't a Mandalorian, implying that they weren't of the Mandalorian race. But now we've learned that Mandalorians are a creed, not a race. Does that open the door to Boba Fett being some kind of Mandalorian adherent? Was he able to hold on to that armor? Why would he put the Mythosaur logo on it? There's just a lot of questions. I hope they're gonna tie up a lot of these details and loose ends. So, questions. You guys have already started firing a few in, and I apologize to the ones that I've ignored. Would you ever make a lightsaber based on Cal Kestis lightsaber? Jedi Outcast 7 asks. Probably not, for a couple of reasons. One, I don't do replicas, as some of you know. I do all my own work. So would I envision my own version of his lightsaber? I played the game. I don't know if I was captivated enough with the character. Do you think he will hate Boba for being a fake Mandalorian? Yeah, I think there's going to be some tension there. The other reasons that I wouldn't make a Cal Kestis saber is because a bunch of people online are doing it. There's lots of different versions out there that you can get. And thirdly, the design didn't really grab me. It wasn't something that I go, yeah, I really want to build that. So, I kind of go across grains with other lightsaber manufacturers in a lot of ways. And one is, I generally don't build what I think people want. I generally build hey, Jeff. Hey, how's it going, Jeff? I generally don't build what people want. I generally build what I like. Because I think that if I'm an artist, then people will like what I like. And so far that's borne it out. And I am very, very pleased at all of you who have liked images, shared images, purchased my stuff. It allows me to keep doing what I'm doing. And I love you. I appreciate that. Also, I kind of live life under the principle that people think they know what they want, but they don't know what they want. So rather than try to give people what they think they want and find out that they actually don't want it, I'm just going to do what I think is awesome. And if people want to come along with me and think it's awesome too, great. Any new designs that I can tease? No. I've just been too busy trying to build and sell the stuff that people are buying. I haven't carved enough time to do design work. I would like to do more, and I plan to do more. So yes, thank you for your kind words. Yeah, there's a lot of comments coming in, so I'm just catching little snippets of them. And yeah, it's like, that's my thing. So again, if you could keep them short, I will do my best to answer your questions and comments, whether it be lightsaber related, prop related. As you might be able to tell, I've done a little bit of upgrade work on the console in the back. I'll give you a tour of that later. How do you think surviving clone soldiers would see Boba Fett? Father? That's a good question. There's another comment there that I missed. Maybe it'll come up in a minute. Yeah, I think there's a lot of questions about where they're going to go with this. And then we know Temuera Morrison is going to play Rex. We know Ahsoka is going to be in this somehow. Sigh. Big sigh. I got nothing against Ahsoka. It's just like to be done. I don't like that they keep adding her into everything. Tom here. Good group. See yourself. Thank you. Hi, Rob. Hello. It's good to see everybody. There's a lot of people tuning in, and that makes me feel good. Thank you. You're welcome. I feel like I've just been kind of blabbing on getting it all off my chest, all the excitement of Boba Fett. When I saw that last shot, it's like I literally stood up in my living room and scared my kids because I went, yes! And they're like, what? I'm like, do you know who that is? That's Boba Fett. And then we went through, watched it again. Anyways, very exciting times. So we also need to talk about the Krayt Dragon. Hey, Brian, how's it going? I think they're trying to build on a character that are not in the OG trilogy. How do you think Boba's attitude will be since we didn't get much of him in the OT? Well, I kind of mentioned a little bit of that. Wooly, I think he's going to come in as a bad guy. I think he's going to be bitter. I don't think he particularly liked being in the Sarlacc for however long he was in there. I don't know, maybe he's a Jonah experience. Maybe he found some kind of awakening in while he was in there and he's changed his heart. Do you think Boba is hiding in the Sand People? Yeah, I think kind of this, I get the impression because he had a gaffy stick on his back that maybe he's been rescued or harbored by the Sand People, desert hermit kind of thing. Anyways, that's just my guess. We need to talk about Krayt Dragons. We need to talk about the Darksaber. Let's just, you know what, let's get the Darksaber out of the way right off the bat, because some of you who follow me know I had an epiphany. It occurred to me, you know, when things align and dots connect and you hear angels singing, oh, I felt like one of those, because after seeing The Mandalorian episode 9, the season 2 opener, I got to thinking, and at the same time I'm replaying Knights of the Old Republic on my Xbox. For old time's sake, it's really awesome. Almost finished it again. You know what would be a really cool concept for KOTOR 3, Knights of the Old Republic 3, which was never made, as far as I know. There was rumors. Would be, and I don't know the timeline. The timeline of the raving kind of stuff is almost 4,000 years before the Skywalker saga. The legends of the Darksaber say that it was made by the original, or the first, I don't remember what his name, Vizsla, the clan Vizsla, the first Mandalorian to become a Jedi over 1,000 years ago. So we're like 3,000 years difference on the timeline. So whether you mess with that or go with it, I think a really cool Knights of the Old Republic would be to follow the story of that young Vizsla being groomed to be one of the candidates to be the next Mandalore, leader of the Mandalorian people, warrior culture race, and the finding out that he has force powers and being cast out and exiled by his own people because he's showing affinity with the Jedi, and the Jedi, you know, harboring him and cultivating him, and so becomes not only a Jedi, but he becomes the ultimate Mandalorian, and he forges the Darksaber. I think that'd be a really cool story to weave as a RPG and a gameplay. So there, BioWare, for what it's worth, whoever the decision makers are, there's my pitch for the next Knights of the Old Republic, which really needs to be made. Come on. You get a clan around you, a crew, maybe HK-47. I mean, if it's 3,000 years later, I doubt that he will have survived. But maybe some remnants of the old KOTOR games, or maybe Cander's Ordo, who we know became Mandalore, is mentioned, or something like that. There could be common threads, even if you spread it out and build a whole new game. EA still holds the license titles for the Star Wars games, I believe. I believe that is true. I have a friend who actually works for BioWare and EA, and he does a lot of design stuff for The Old Republic, which I'm not into MMO, so I never play. But Brad, shout out to you, amazing artist. He's did some really cool work if you're into that game. But anyways, I think the Darksaber would be a really cool foundational piece for a Knights of the Old Republic 3. So there, I wanted to get that out there. So that it's now on record that if that ever happens, you heard it here first. Unless someone else has pitched that idea before me that I'm unaware of, which is entirely possible. Now, while I was ranting there, I missed a lot of questions, and I apologize. So if you would like to maybe short form your question, like, just a couple of words. Where do babies come from? Whatever. I'll do my best. EA holds license. Somebody says it's a great idea. Thank you. I got at least one person saying that that's a solid idea. Yeah. Where do Baby Yodas come from? That's very clever. I enjoyed that. Krayt Dragons, right? I think I want my signet to be a Krayt Dragon. I'm gonna design that. Any new lightsaber fonts? Steel Rain asks. No, not since Ashes. Ashes was a lot of fun to work on, but I kind of go with inspiration. I haven't got anything in the works right now. Krayt Dragons, though, some of you know that over the last 6-7 years, I've built periodically Krayt Dragon themed sabers. One of which, Bane Legend number 14 is going to be going up for auction. Hold on to it there so it doesn't fall out. In a week and a half, I think the auction's going to end on the 12th. Krayt bone handle. I've also got sabers that I built with Krayt pearls in them, and now, of course, you've seen a Krayt pearl on screen for the first time. So it's a very exciting time to be a Krayt Dragon fan right now with Star Wars all of a sudden it becoming canon. And then they seem to be honoring a lot of the expanded universe lore of, Canyon Krayt Dragon, Greater Krayt Dragon Pearl, cool stuff like that. So we'll see where they go with that. But I might try to build myself another Krayt Dragon inspired saber if I have time before Christmas. But anyways, if you're interested in that stuff, go to my website. There are several. There's a Krayt Fang saber, a Desert Dragon saber. Those are two that I have the pearl and have some bone elements. Do you think Din Djarin will? Oh, see, too fast. The question's too long, and I know it's hard not to ask a long question, a detailed question. But do you think Din Djarin will distance himself from the Mandalorian creed if he needs to do so to protect the child? That's a good question. I still want to know why and how the Mandalorian creed, part of which doesn't allow you to take off your helmet, was not there in Rebels and not there in other recent references to Mandalorian culture. Whether it's something ancient that they've resurrected in their current state, or something that's been added to recently, the creed, because something happened to the Mandalorian people. They got wiped out, and they're just a roving band of creed-bound Mandalorians, which is what I think they always should have been, but they've finally brought it back to that. So I want to know what happened. How did they get here? And I think that's going to answer some of the questions of how is this? Is this a new part of the creed? Is this a long-standing part of the creed? Is this just a weird sect of Mandalorians that hold to an extreme version of the creed, and there are other Mandalorians who take their helmets off and don't elsewhere? I hope we see Sabine Wren, Bo-Katan. I hope we figure out some of that. There's a small theory that a Krayt Dragon Pearl is in the Darksaber. That would be interesting. Really the only Krayt Dragon Pearl, if you've played Knights of the Old Republic, you kill a Krayt Dragon, take the pearl, and it becomes, you have the option of including it in your lightsaber build as Revan. So the idea that Revan's lightsaber had a Krayt Dragon Pearl in it. I don't know if that's canon. I believe Revan now is canon. Yeah, it'd be interesting if a Krayt Dragon Pearl was an element in what made the Darksaber so funky. Yeah, I don't like... A lightsaber's light. It's dark. Yeah, I don't like that. I think it's kind of like a mini black hole or something. I think the helmet thing was started by, missed that. You know, this is going to be the episode where I ignore more questions while ranting, and I feel like I'm disrespecting my peeps. I'm sorry. So I'm going to try to pay extra special attention to your questions. Please keep them brief so I can read them. So yeah, I've ranted about Boba Fett. I've ranted about the Darksaber. Are you excited for High Republic lightsaber designs? Willie, I gotta say I'm kind of not from what I've seen so far. I don't know. I'll read the novels. I wasn't really thrilled with the Aftermath series. I don't think it was up to par with the expanded universe stuff that I like, or the best of the expanded universe stuff, like Timothy Zahn, Michael Stackpole, Aaron Alston. Those writers really, to me, really did Star Wars justice. New production lightsaber designs. Well, as you might know, Steel Rain, the Creed is becoming a production series saber. So this is my little prototype here. So this, sometime next year, will be a production series saber. It probably won't be done with the same weathering and detail. There'll probably be just like a couple of anodizing options. And then I may do the kind of the core and horn version, special advanced version that this is periodically. I haven't decided whether I'm going to kind of include that as an option or not, because it's going to cost more money, because it's more work. There's a lot of really, details in the weathering, and then the copper powder coating added on. Every little thing takes a little bit longer, but I'm excited about this saber. It's got really good feedback from the people that have received it. Those of you that bought from the batch recently of 6, the first 2 should be going out this week. Brian, love your work. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate that. So yeah, man, I feel like my ranting is kind of winding down now, and I can actually, answer questions. So those are good lightsaber questions. Any other prop related questions, or owner of your speeder number 1? Love it so much. Thank you, Willie, from the May the 4th batch. I'm glad you like it. Yeah, I've been really getting a lot of good feedback from the saber design. People like it. It's just different enough from the other things that I've done. So yeah, that should be, I hope the price is going to come in right around the same as the Ascend in Creed. As you know, the Vector has now been discontinued, so that I can add a new saber and actually still have time to make them. If I add too many designs, I just won't have time to make them all. So that's part of the reason why the Bad Axe is only periodically in stock, because if it was in stock, I would never, I wouldn't have any time to do anything. So, and no, I'm not going to be hiring staff. I like working alone. I'm a crazy old wizard. Good to see you're still out there. Sorry I was late. TK, you know what? I can't even read your name. It's like 16 different words. So whoever you are that just said that, thank you. I'm glad to be here too. I really feel like there's a lot of people tuning in, which is still weird to me. Like that you would tune. Well, I guess people need a distraction right now. I don't know if you're aware of this, but there's kind of a lot of weird stuff going on. A lot of intense things. My wife and I say to each other on a daily basis, these are mad times we live in. We're kind of quoting, what's his name from Harry Potter, the potions guy. Slughorn. Yeah. What makes the Bad Axe so hard to make? Always seems out of stock. It's like the parts are tricky to machine, so the machinist charges a little bit more for them. And the bend section, I do that all in-house. I have a mandrel bender. That's actually a machine back there that I bend the metal and cut it, and then I precisely drill all the holes and everything like that. So even doing it systematically, it just takes longer to make a Bad Axe than it makes to do the other ones. And even if I charge a little bit more because it takes longer, it still takes longer. And so I just have limited time. Thoughts on the 3 lead strip? I didn't get that. I don't know anything about a 3 lead strip. I'm assuming blade. What do you think about the theory that the Mando is going to get a lightsaber? I don't see that happening. I think the best thing, the closest that's going to happen to that is he's going to wrest control of the Darksaber back from Moff Gideon as a symbol of leadership in the reassembling of Mandalorian culture. I think it'll end up somewhere like that. So he'll become the new Mandalore. I think that's probably where this is going. Din Djarin will be the new Mandalore. TK. Oh, see your name is too long, so TK. Yeah, good to see you, TK. 3 lead strip blades. I don't like the concept of 3 pixel strips in a blade for a couple of reasons. One is weight, adds too much weight, and that increases the possibility of the blade folding. 2, you would need, even with a 15 amp discharge battery, it's going to drain the battery super fast, and you're really not going to, I mean, I'm theorizing here because I haven't built one. I don't know whether the increased brightness is going to be worth it, to be honest. For maybe just as a show blade, if you're only going to light it up for like 10 minutes at a time before it starts sucking your battery dry, I think we're able to achieve pretty good blades with 2 pixel strips currently. So yeah, unless someone shows me one in person that I think is super impressive, I just don't think 3 pixel strips is worth it. If they make the pixel strips a lot thinner, but then again, you're using less metal, more heat. Richard loves his Creed. Excellent. Good to see. How long should a battery last with a Plector pixel blade? I addressed that in a different video. Your battery will not last as long with a pixel blade as it will with a conventional blade. But it depends on the battery, on how bright the saber is set up, and the color. Red's going to last longer than blue, or a combination of blue and green, or a combination of red and green for yellow. Those are going to suck the battery quicker. So it really depends. I mean, you can really, going with a combo color as opposed to just pure red, you could probably almost double your battery time by just going with red. You're just going to have to play around and find out for yourself. These are great questions. Keep them coming. I really appreciate you guys participating in this live in the shop stuff. While I'm waiting for more questions, I've been telling people that I'm going to make a video of this console that I've been slowly working on, but I'm probably not, just because it's been over a year that I've been picking away at this. But I will give you a little bit of a tour. So, because I did some things recently. So I've been building it. I don't know if you can see. I'm going to ignore your questions for a second. Do you like the Excalibur saber? Yeah. No. I didn't really like the New Republic stuff, or the old. Anyways, as you can see, I've kind of built this in segments. I had them laser cut, and then just put lights and switches in, so you can turn things off. So the switches function. This one actually goes to a little display that I just don't have on because that's run by battery. Everything else here is run by a 12-volt power supply. That's an old clock with a laser cut piece that'll make it look like a radar. This is one of those picture frames that just randomly changes pictures. And so I've just got some images that I made up in there that are really cool. And these switches do nothing. And then I've got just it's kind of like a droid socket segment that I was going for. Just other combinations of colors. I don't know if you noticed, but in the Falcon and a lot of Star Wars consoles, there's no greens. They're all white, blue, red, yellow. Those are the common colors. And then there's kind of like a power conduit dealy there. So that's kind of my backdrop, and I'm still working on weathering and other things that I'm going to be doing on that. So someone asked about the Excalibur saber design for the High Republic. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't spent a whole lot of time with it. I kind of just, as an artist, I kind of go instinctively when I see things. I go, yeah, wow, I love that. I mean, often they're really odd little things, but I haven't seen anything from the High Republic artwork yet that I really like. There's a lot of stuff from the Mandalorian stuff that I really like. Even things from the Mandalorian that I don't necessarily like initially, like the Ambin pulse rifle. It kind of looks really kind of old westy to me, and kind of ungainly, and the whole shock thing at the end. I didn't really get into that first, but it's kind of grown on me. I think I might try to build one at some point just for having around here. Decoration on the shop wall. There's lots of really cool tutorials online, and a lot of people are putting out 3D printed plans. Someone found this live stream. Oh, I missed that. What got you into this hobby? Excellent question, Zed Welch. I think a lightsaber would cut through Beskar? No. Traditionally, in the Star Wars Expanded Universe lore, Beskar and cortosis ore were two of the things that resisted lightsaber blades. What got me into the hobby? Oh, that's a great question. I've always been a bit of a maker. That wasn't a thing when I was a kid, so I just made stuff. It's always been a hobby. And so then around 1996 or 1997, I started dabbling with building lightsabers out of just hardware store parts. Found other people online that were doing a similar thing, and it just kind of spitballed from there. And spitballed, that's not really right, the word, snowballed. It snowballed from there. And so a hobby became a passion, became a self-funding hobby, became a part-time source or a little source of income, became a part-time job, became a full-time job, and it's been 21 years now, 22 almost. Yeah, been doing this a long time. Love what I do. Do you still have your first ever lightsaber? No, I don't even know if I have any parts from that. I have a picture, and sometimes I post it periodically. And I've got some old stuff from like almost 20 years ago that I've been kind of going through lately. But I don't still have that old lightsaber. Sorry. I could put it up on the wall as kind of like this museum piece, and people would look at it and go, "That's really ugly, actually." And it weighed a ton. It was made from a bolt. It was like solid iron. Yeah. Times have changed. No electronics in it. It was just it was a belt hanger that would tear your belt off. Belt hangers is what we call lightsabers that don't do anything. They're just kind of a costume piece. Belt hangers. Before cosplay was even cosplay, we were calling them that. Lucasfilm ever try to sue you? No, they have not. Nor have they ever tried to hire me. So really, it probably works out. I don't know that there's anybody that Lucasfilm has tried to sue per se in the lightsaber hobby. Other than, I don't know, they've threatened. I think they threatened New York Jedi because they refused to change their name, from what I hear. And I think I think Parks Sabers actually successfully sued Lucasfilm because they took the Mara Jade lightsaber design and used it in a product, in a card game or something, without their permission. So, yeah, no, Lucasfilm has never threatened me or tried to sue me. I really like your Sword of the Jedi sound font. Would you make more Legends character sound fonts like Ben Skywalker or Jason Solo? Excellent question. And I'm really impressed with myself for being able to read it all just before it disappeared. The short answer is yes, I would consider that. But as I said, I try to leave time in the way I do my work for, did you announce this live session in advance? Yes, I did. Yes, I did, Larry. I did. I try to leave time in my work week for creative design stuff. I'm feeling I don't leave enough time for that because it doesn't necessarily directly pay the bills. So I got to do work that pays the bills and still. Anyways, I tend to go with what inspires me, what captivates my attention, what you lay awake at night thinking about, what ignites your passion, because that's the best creative process, I find. And so there hasn't been any of the other characters per se throughout the Saba Sabatine would be one, but throughout the expanded universe that have really grabbed me. I thought, yeah, I want to make a sound font for that, because in my mind, I'm kind of a purist. I think lightsabers in the Star Wars universe generally should sound alike, unless there's a reason for them not to. If there's a fractured crystal, that's a reason for it not to. If it's a dual phase saber, that would be a reason for it to sound a little different. If it's 1,000 years old, that would be another reason for it to sound a little different. So to me, it just sound different for no reason. It's like, they sound cool, but I like there to be a reason for things. So if they're, for instance, Anakin Solo, we created a lightsaber with a Yuuzhan Vong crystal. That would be one that that would spark me enough to go, yeah, I wonder what that would sound like, and try to create something. But having said that, I have one of plans. It kind of has to be when I feel inspired and I have time enough to just, like with this last one, Ashes. It had been an idea rolling around in my head, and then I had some time and things came together, and I had a couple of ideas that kind of clicked, and I thought, I'm going to do this right now, and I started it. And if you're an artist, sometimes you know what this is like. Once you start something and you're into it, then it just steamrolls and you've got to keep pushing until you finish it. Have you made your boys custom sabers? No, I'm a horrible father. I allow them to play with the ones here, but I don't think they're old enough to really responsibly handle a lithium-ion battery and its servicing and charging and things like that. So up until now, I haven't. Plus, being that they could come into Dad's shop and play with his lightsabers, that's become kind of normal to them, and they're not as into, this may surprise you, but my boys aren't as into lightsabers as you and I are. I know, right? But there it is. Any plans to update Flourish? Yes, eventually. My sound font Flourish will be updated. Eventually. Do you sell double-bladed lightsabers? Yes, there is a coupler. I don't have it currently available, but there is a coupler that I need to get more of that will allow 2 ascends to be screwed together to make a double-bladed lightsaber. I don't do quick connects for a couple of reasons. Generally, I tell people that you can have it quick or you can have it strong, but you can't have both. Now, I know that there has been some really cool and really solid quick connect couplers that have been made recently. I haven't invested the time and energy to try to do that because I just don't like dual lightsabers as much. Again, I'm a purist. Just one. Yeah, so KC Lazy Gaming says what? What? I don't know what you're whatting me for. In your opinion, what's better, CFX or, well, I don't know the answer. I didn't see the end of that. But to answer the question, in your opinion, what's better, the CFX or Profi or Verso? Haha. I was going to answer without seeing that. I have not tried Profi or Verso. I'm very happy with the Crystal Focus. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Lightsaber based on other movies. We call that, what do we call that? Is it cross something or cross fandom? There's a reason. There was a name for when you mashups. That's what they are. I have done some mashups. I did a Halo themed saber. I wouldn't do that again. I thought about an Assassin's Creed one. We call it Heresy. I salute you. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes if it strikes my fancy, or if someone gets on my custom work list and wants, an image or something etched in a saber that's from another franchise or whatever, I'm like, yeah, I'll do that kind of thing. But when it's something that I'm creating, I'm not generally interested. Your shop is incredibly well done. Thank you. Thank you so much. I missed the rest of that. It is a labor of love. And so, yes, there's various elements of the backdrop behind me they're on my YouTube channel, how to do that. What's coming from the R&D shop? GCS cover tech system, blah, 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 new way to hang. See, that was an example of a question that was way too long. There's no way I'm going to get to that. Is it possible to fine-tune the motion sensitivity? Yes. If you read the Crystal Focus manual, it is possible to fine-tune literally everything on that thing. It just takes some time to learn how to do it. If Weta did the lightsaber, what a cliffhanger. If Weta, who did Lord of the Rings, did a lightsaber, and I didn't see the rest of that question. I know Alan Johnson from Vader's Vault years ago did an Elven-themed saber. I can't remember what it's called, but it was really cool. A lot of cool etched Elven script in it and stuff like that. It was really well done. Yeah, that's crossed my mind a bit, but again, I haven't given enough time over to design time to be able to sketch things. I have a sketchbook. I've had this book. It was given to me by Irv at Plector Labs as a gift. And I have, stuff going back 10 years in this book. It's kind of like a history book of the things that I've designed. So often I'll go out for coffee and, I'll just doodle, swords or knives or things. And I'm losing my bookmarks. Or Celtic etching or etching patterns. Man, a lot of stuff though on this. And so I just need to make more time for coffee and designing and sketching because that leads to ideas, leads to new things. The last few years, I feel like I've given over too much time to actually trying to produce. So the upside of designing is I come up with creative stuff. The downside of that is I don't have things in stock. If Weta did a lightsaber, would it have been different? Probably. Weta, you're talking to artists. So you give a different artist a commission, they're going to come up with something completely different. I love that there are lots of questions coming in. I am not able to read them all. Coffee comment reminded me of Tim Tam Slam. Yeah, I have a how-to video, Tim Tam Slam. For those Aussies out there, you'll know what that is because it's perhaps your greatest gift to humanity. The Tim Tam Slam from Australia. Yeah. So again, I apologize. There was like 4 questions in a row that were really long that flashed up on my screen. There's no way I can read them all. So if you want to try again, keep your questions nice and brief. How's the audio? How's the video? Is it a little bit better? Is the lighting a little bit better? I'm going to rewatch this again later, but in the past there's been huge chunks where the audio's cut out or it's gotten glitchy or whatever. Hopefully this one is smooth like butter, and I've got my new rig set up with my Rode mic and kind of, wow, they all came in. All good. Stream is better. Yeah, it's looking great. Excellent. Thank you for the feedback. So yeah, again, if you've asked a question and I've completely missed it or ignored it, feel free to ask it again. That's perfectly fine. Keep it condensed. I don't know why they're coming up in batches of like 6. How do you feel about Tristan? Something about the graphics design, Rise of Skywalker. I didn't see all that question. It was way too big, but something about graphics and Rise of Skywalker. Yeah, I don't have anything against what they did there. Thoughts on the BioWare cinematics for the Old Republic? Oh, the cinematics are great. Love that. Yeah, again, I don't know what your question was regarding in terms of the Graphics design. I think it's cool that they brought the Graphics back in and had it part of the story and the thread of Star Wars all the way along. Last Starfighter sequel in the works. Is that true? Is that true? The Last Starfighter was one of those kind of cult classic films that captured our imagination. You know, we play video games. What if they were real and we were taken away to another world? You know, that's a pretty magical recipe for storytelling. Would it be possible for the Forced Ghost of Yoda to appear? I don't think they're going to do that with The Mandalorian. I think they're going to keep the magic. Part of the magic of The Mandalorian is it's an Outer Rim story, separate from the big events of the core. I think that's what they failed to do with other Star Wars franchises. I don't like the way Clone Wars was done because it was just too much, too big. I loved Rebels because it was the same way. It was a small piece of the bigger story. You didn't see the whole big story. You saw elements of it. Are you going to make a Mandalorian hilt? I will probably I've made several Boba Fett themed hilts and things. I will probably make some kind of, I don't know. I think Luke is going to show up eventually. I think they're going to have some passing reference. They're going to, I mean, they got to, yeah. I mean, he's going to connect the dots. Oh, he's already connected some of them. This kid uses the Force. The Force means Jedi. At this time, there really is only one Jedi. His name is Luke Skywalker. And I'm surprised that nobody knows that in the Outer Rim. In order to the worst best, my films list, I have put that out there. It changes all the time. Empire Strikes Back is always at the top. Wish Mandalorian followed KOTOR more than, I missed the rest of that. Yeah, Knights of the Republic, Old Republic was pretty cool. And they introduced a lot of things. I don't know if you're aware that Knights of the Old Republic introduced the Sith Code more than bounty hunting. Oh, well. Yeah, well, I mean, you got to remember, Knights of the Old Republic Knights of the Old Republic, you need to slow down, was 4,000 years before the Skywalker saga, 4,000 years before the events of The Mandalorian. So in that time, the Mandalorians, who were a decimated race, defeated in the Jedi war with the Jedi, there were a roving band of mercenaries and like a warrior nomadic Viking culture, for lack of a better term, has somehow evolved into a whole planet, which I didn't like how they did that in the Clone Wars, a civilization, but that had their roots in kind of the barbarism, but no, we're civilization now. And then now somehow that's been wiped out and they're reduced now to the nomadic Viking warrior ways of the past. So I feel like Star Wars has thankfully erased the errors of the Clone Wars and what they did to the Mandalorian culture and now kind of brought it back on track to what I think it should have been all along. It's my opinion, but this is my YouTube channel, so there it is. So we'll see where they go from here. So here we are back at the Mandalorian again. Yeah, it just comes full circle. So again, if I've missed any questions, I'm definitely building that mini fridge. Yeah, right down here. I don't know if you... Yeah, it's lit up. There's the fridge. I've actually, even though it's still, the light still works on the inside and there's still stuff in there, it's not cold. I turned it off because it's turning to winter here. I don't know what it's like where you are, but it's getting pretty cold here. So the idea of cold beverages just aren't a thing. So I've unplugged it for the season. Opinion on how they portrayed the Krayt Dragon. Yeah, I got into that earlier, Larry. So if you go back and watch this again, I really like, well, I guess I didn't give a whole opinion. I like how they did the Krayt Dragon. I think they honored the expanded universe, but also made it way cool. Like it was way bigger than I imagined. So I would imagine that a greater Krayt Dragon was not necessarily this big, but this one was huge. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. Okay, one thing that I really thought was cool, I don't know if you caught it, but when the Krayt Dragon appeared, they used the sound effect that Ben Kenobi used to scare away the Tusken Raiders in Star Wars A New Hope. which George Lucas later changed because he never quite liked it. So if you haven't seen an older version of A New Hope, you would be unfamiliar with that sound. But as a sound font maker, I pick up these subtle things, or as just a fan, maybe you picked it up too, but there were other sounds, like the sounds of the roar or the sounds of the movement, but woven into that, there was the subtle sound that Ben made of the Krayt Dragon to scare away the Tuscans, and I thought that was a really cool element, and I'm glad that they wove that in there. Okay, please ask your questions again. I missed a couple there. Something about a Glowforge. I would love one. I don't have a 3D printer or a laser cutter. Will an episode of The Mandalorian be dedicated to Boba Fett escaping the Solar Pit and what? Well, I would hope so, because they've done a really good job at introducing something and then giving us a bit of backstory. IG-11 walks into Queel's hut serving tea, and Queel explains, and they give us a nice walk back of how he got to that point. Cobb Vanth appears with Boba Fett's armor, and they give us a nice little walk back of how he got there. So I hope they do that with Boba Fett. Yes, I was listening and didn't know Lucas changed it. Yeah, in the re-release, the cinematic re-release of Star Wars A New Hope, Ben makes a different sound. And then I think in the, I don't know if the Blu-ray is different. I'll have to go back and watch it again. I don't know. I haven't watched the one that's available on Disney Plus. Maybe they've re-added some original elements like that. But yeah, there's probably a YouTube video devoted to the different sounds Ben Kenobi makes over the editing process to scare away the Tuscans. Do you think we will see flashbacks of how Boba Fett survived? Yeah, someone else just asked that question, and yes, I hope they will. But I missed something about Ahsoka and Mando. I don't know. Yeah, I really don't know where they're gonna go with this. Great questions. We'll do a few more, and then we'll wrap things up. Let's see. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to mention. The Bane auction coming up for number 14. That's going to go on eBay. The Speeder, mentioned that. Yeah. We may be running out of things to talk about for today. No, that can't be the case. All right, well, any last questions, or if you want to re-ask a question that I missed or failed to address, now would be the time. Otherwise, we're going to start winding this episode down. Flashbacks. How do you think Ahsoka will tie into the Mando? I don't know. Would you ever do Red Dwarf props? Oh man, I haven't watched Red Dwarf for a million years. That's going way back. I wouldn't rule anything out. Like I said, whatever kind of catches my fancy, whatever inspires. And sometimes it's the weirdest thing. Yeah. Is there going to be more than 3 episodes of The Mandalorian? As I'm a bit nervous, this will be a short series. There's only 3. You mean 3 seasons, I think. I don't know the answer to that. A bazookoid? Yeah, I don't even know what a bazookoid is. Yeah, I don't know. I would assume because of the success right now. Here's my assessment. Star Wars hierarchy allowed Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau a lot of license to create The Mandalorian. They are now seeing that it is potentially the most successful element of Star Wars in recent memory. They failed to make toys on time. They're now realizing the capacity that The Mandalorian has to generate money. And that's going to mean more Mandalorian. Now that the brass is seeing the potential, I think that's going to change the landscape. And I think 10 years from now, I think The Mandalorian and spin-offs from The Mandalorian could be as significant as the films. Mando will find Jedi sooner, or will draw it out. Oh, I think they're going to draw it out. The Bad Batch is coming out soon. Yeah, that's going to be interesting. See where they go with that. Do you think all the episodes will tie together in this season? I think it'll be similar to last season, but bigger and better. Do you think we'll ever see Corsac in the silver screen? Excellent question. I don't know whether they'll ever venture as far as Corellia. I don't know if a character like Cornhorn has a potential or future. I would also like to see Darth Bane. There's rumors that Taika Waititi is working on is it 3 films or at least 1 film or a project. And there's some speculation that it might be Darth Bane. You know, I would love that, but we'll see. I would love for them to do Darth Bane films and to buy my lightsaber design for those films. That's what I would love. Let's just dream. Dream with me, won't you? The world is crazy enough. Let's stop talking about what's wrong with things and what we don't like and what we want to change. Let's start talking about just, wouldn't it be awesome if? This is one of my guiding principles. Wouldn't it be awesome if ... and then answer that question with your creativity, with your design, with your sketching, with your drawing, with your making, with your crafting. Do something awesome. Just allow yourself some time to be captivated by things that you think are awesome. Allow your mind to spend time on things you think are awesome. It'll change your physiology. If you spend all your time on things you think are awful, you're going to be sick. You're going to be weak. You're going to be no fun. So let's change that. There was a couple other questions there I missed while I was ranting about life advice. Is that okay? I can give you some life advice. I'm a dad, so if you need some dad life advice, I'm here. Technology yet allows a holo blade. I don't know where to go with that. Do you think we will see Thrawn in the Mando? See, that is a really good question because the way they left Rebels. There's been speculation that if we'll see Ahsoka, we may see Sabine Wren. If we see Sabine Wren, we may see Ezra Bridger. And if we see Ezra Bridger, we may see or at least find out what happened to Thrawn. But I think the villain picture for the foreseeable future in The Mandalorian is clear. We've got Moff Gideon, whether or not he has Force powers. And now potentially we have Boba Fett adding to that villain team. And I think Boba Fett is going to be responsible for helping resuscitate Fennec Shand, who will also be part of that villain team. Sifo Dyas show. Wow, that's... I don't know. I suppose I could go there. Speaking of Sabine, any theories on the inconsistencies with the helmet policies? Jiho SSJ5. Yeah, I addressed that a little earlier. I think the helmet policy is either a recent addition to the Mandalorian creed or a resurrection of an ancient tradition in the Mandalorian creed. Probably the latter, but well, hopefully they'll explain it. How do we know the final character was Boba Fett? Excellent question. Coming back full circle to how we began this video. We don't know that final character was Boba Fett, but here's how we do know. Here's what we do know. Boba Fett's armor survived. It was marked by acid, as described in Aftermath, the novel, one of the novels by, I can't remember his name. Temuera Morrison played the character we see at the end. He plays Jango Fett. Boba Fett was a clone of Jango Fett. Ergo, Temuera Morrison is the image of what Boba Fett would look like. Temuera Morrison in the final shot of episode 9, opener of season 2, is visibly acid burned, like the description of the armor, like you would expect someone that was in a sarlacc to be acid burned. I believe Lucasfilm said Temuera Morrison would be playing Captain Rex and Boba Fett in season 2 of The Mandalorian. And what was the other final piece of evidence? I don't remember. Anyway, so we're going on that. I recently saw a tweet from one of the art department of Lucasfilm where it showed that the artwork of that gentleman standing in the sunset, that last shot, and just said some random guy, looking at a Tatooine sunset and then zip lip emoji. So, I mean, I think there's plenty to go on that's Boba Fett. If they played it out that wasn't Boba Fett and they're like, ha ha, I think that would be stupid. And I think that would be the wrong thing to do with the fan base, which has been waiting, longing for some kind of indication that Boba Fett survived the Sarlacc. So, join with me in... Where did I throw that thing? Oh, yeah. Gonks got it over here. The Fett lives. Let's make that a hashtag. So, I think with that, because we've come full circle, we're going to wrap things up for today. I do enjoy these live things. It almost feels like you're here with me in the shop. without actually being here with me in the shop. Because as you know, I like working alone. Lots of questions coming in that I will not get to. You're just going to have to hold on to those till next time. My friends, my peeps, GCS Nation, whatever happens in your world, be awesome. Don't be a jerk about it, okay? Whether it's election or COVID or whatever, okay? Just be part of the hope for humanity and not part of the reason why we should all get wiped out. It's kind of dire. I don't want to end on a dire thing. Other YouTubers coined the phrase, I can't remember the name, don't forget to be awesome. I guess that's what I'm saying. Whatever happens, find a way to be awesome. Somebody out there is pretty stressed, and you can encourage them. Somebody out there suffering, you can contribute to alleviating their suffering. There's a lot of good we can do, so let's get on it. Yeah, that's a better way to end this. See you next time.